The first scene opens in the buzzing backstage area of the talent show, where every sound feels amplified for the young Filipino teen preparing for his moment. Rico stands in a narrow corridor lit by warm bulbs, the kind that cast a soft glow on performers but also reveal every nervous detail. His hands tremble slightly as he holds his guitar, an instrument that looks both worn and loved. The body is covered with small, fading Elvis stickers he collected over the years, each one representing a moment of admiration and dreams he never dared to voice out loud. His parents stand close, speaking to him in gentle Tagalog, reminding him to breathe, to trust himself, and to remember how long he has waited for this chance. Their words don't completely silence his nerves, but they give him a quiet strength. Crew members walk briskly around him, adjusting equipment, communicating through headsets, but several of them pause to look at the boy. There's something curious about him, something that makes them whisper among themselves. One sound technician leans toward another and says he heard the kid warming up earlier, and he sounded eerily like a young Elvis Presley. The idea spreads through the backstage team like a spark, building a soft anticipation in the air. Rico shifts his weight, tapping his foot in a rhythm he created to calm himself. He hums a low vibrato, barely audible, but enough to remind him why he's here. Every rehearsal, every night he spent studying Elvis performances online, every moment he practiced in front of his bedroom mirror now leads to this single chance. A stagehand calls his name, signaling he has 30 seconds before walking onto the stage. Rico's heart races, but when he looks at his parents, his father giving a proud nod, his mother clasping her hands together, he finds a sense of grounding. He inhales deeply, straightens the collar of his vintage-style jacket, and adjusts his grip on the guitar. Beyond the curtain, he can hear the audience buzzing and the faint voice of the host introducing the next act. Rico swallows his fear, steps forward, and as the curtain begins to part, the world behind him fades. Everything ahead now depends on the voice he's about to reveal. The moment Rico steps onto the brightly lit stage, the air in the entire theater seems to shift. The vast space is filled with thousands of eyes, waiting, watching, ready to judge or be amazed. The judges sit in their seats, relaxed at first, expecting just another audition among many. Rico walks to the center, clutching his guitar with a mixture of reverence and fear. Under the intense lights, his features appear sharper, his youthful face, his determined eyes, and the slight tremble in his breath as he introduces himself. His voice is soft, almost fragile, but there's an underlying confidence that only becomes visible when he positions himself behind the vintage-style microphone. Silence washes over the room as he prepares to play. The first strike of the guitar echoes through the speakers with a warm, nostalgic tone. But it's the very first note of his voice that sends a wave of shock across the entire auditorium. His deep, velvety vibrato instantly recalls the unmistakable sound of young Elvis Presley. The audience gasps, and even the judges sit up straight, no longer relaxed or indifferent. Simon leans forward slowly, eyebrows rising as he tries to process what he's hearing. Sophia's jaw drops slightly, her eyes widening with disbelief, while Heidi turns toward Howie, silently asking if they are hearing the same thing. As Rico continues, his voice grows stronger, steadier, as though the spirit of the legendary performer has settled into his bones. His stance, his subtle movements, and the effortless way he transitions between notes captivate everyone in the room. The camera zooms in on the audience, people clutching their chests, one man with tears welling up, a group of teenagers staring with stunned admiration. The stage lights swirl around him, casting a halo-like glow that enhances the illusion of a young Elvis reborn. Every note feels like a shockwave, each one building upon the last. The judges exchange amazed glances, silently acknowledging that something extraordinary is unfolding right in front of them. Rico, absorbed in his performance, forgets about nerves. He sings as though he has been waiting his entire life for this exact moment. And with each second that passes, the room becomes more convinced that this is no ordinary audition, it is the beginning of something unforgettable. The energy in the theater reaches a new height as Rico moves deeper into the heart of his performance. What began as a surprising display of vocal talent has now transformed into something electrifying. With every lyric, his confidence blooms, and by the time he slides into an iconic Elvis-style hip shake, the crowd erupts in a roar that shakes the walls. The sudden shift in atmosphere is so intense that even Rico seems momentarily startled, but the adrenaline pushes him forward. His voice grows fuller, richer, filling every inch of the room with a sound that feels both nostalgic and brand new. The judges, completely overtaken by the moment, lose the composure they normally maintain. Heidi is the first to jump to her feet, clapping wildly and shouting encouragement over the music. Sophia follows immediately, her excitement so uncontrollable that she climbs onto the judges' table, waving her arms and cheering like an ecstatic fan at a rock concert. The audience reacts to her energy, shouting, screaming, and chanting in rhythm with the performance. Camera operators scramble to capture every second of the chaos unfolding in real time. Simon, who is usually the picture of calm critique, has a look of disbelief that he cannot hide. He leans forward with both hands pressed flat on the table, his mouth slightly open, eyes locked on Rico as if he's witnessing something he can't quite rationalize. When Rico hits a sustained note that soars effortlessly above the music, Simon slams his hand onto the table and shouts, "This is a rebirth of Elvis, right here." His voice echoes through the theater and sends the crowd into a frenzy. Lights flash, cheers intensify, and the atmosphere becomes almost too overwhelming to contain. Rico continues to deliver every note with a passion and precision far beyond his age. His movements carry the charisma of Elvis without feeling like mimicry, it's as if the essence of the legend shines through him naturally. The judges exchange glances that say everything: astonishment, excitement, and the realization that they are witnessing a moment destined to be replayed around the world. The entire theater feels like it's vibrating, completely consumed by the performance of a teenager who has just turned the stage into musical history. The final note leaves Rico's lips like a release of pure emotion, echoing through the silent pause that follows. For the first time since he stepped onto the stage, everything becomes still. The audience is frozen, breathless, as if no one dares to break the spell he just cast over the room. Rico kneels slightly, gripping his guitar, chest rising and falling as he tries to process what he's just done. His eyes glisten under the bright stage lights, overwhelmed by the roar that suddenly erupts around him. The theater explodes into cheers so loud they almost drown out his own heartbeat. Before he can stand upright again, Howie suddenly bursts from his seat with a surge of energy. Without hesitation, he races toward the center of the judges' panel and slams his hand onto the golden buzzer with such force that the entire desk rattles. The moment his hand connects, a blast of golden confetti shoots upward, swirling like a glowing storm above the stage. The audience screams even louder, and several people jump out of their seats in disbelief and excitement. But the chaos doesn't end there. Simon and Heidi, both equally overwhelmed, instinctively lunge toward the golden buzzer as well. Heidi's hand collides with Simon's, and the two of them burst into laughter, shouting over each other while confetti continues to rain down. Sophia throws her arms into the air and dances in place, yelling for Rico as the stage becomes a shimmering sea of gold. The judges' reactions mix into a whirlwind of joy, playful chaos, and pure amazement. Rico stands center stage, eyes wide, tears beginning to spill down his cheeks as golden flakes stick to his hair and jacket. His parents, watching from backstage, cover their mouths in shock, their eyes filling with pride and emotion. Rico slowly lifts his hands to his face, overwhelmed by the reality that he didn't just pass an audition, he created a moment that will be remembered long after the season ends. The golden confetti continues to fall like a warm, glittering rain as the crowd chants his name. For a moment, Rico simply lets himself feel everything, every fear he overcame, every dream he carried, and the unbelievable truth that he has just lived the kind of moment people wait a lifetime for.